Welcome to Section 3.2, Part 2. This is the 24th session of the CISSP exam prep series. This part picks up the scope and planning phase where the last one left off. In this session, we'll cover the resources and outside forces that shape a continuity effort. We'll answer several questions. What resources does a continuity effort actually consume? Why is labour the cost that leadership scrutinises most? What external dependencies can quietly break your plan? How do you gain assurance about your vendors? And how do laws, regulations, and contracts shape your obligations? Why does this matter beyond the exam? Because your plan lives inside a web of other people's systems and rules. Picture a fintech startup that runs its entire ledger on a third-party cloud platform. If that provider goes dark and the startup never asked how resilient it was, the startup goes dark too. As a security professional, you are the one who traces those threads outward and makes sure none of them snap when the pressure comes. So what resources does a continuity effort actually consume? Resource needs fall across three distinct phases. During development, the team builds the four elements of the plan, and the main cost is the time and effort of the members and the staff they lean on. During testing, training, and maintenance, you spend some money on hardware and software, but again, the bulk of the cost is people's effort. During implementation, when a real disaster forces the full plan into action, the demands spike sharply, consuming heavy effort and direct financial expense. That is why the team must trigger a full implementation carefully but decisively. Think of it like maintaining a fire brigade. Drills and upkeep cost steady effort, but the day of a real fire consumes everything you have. Why is labour the cost that leadership scrutinises most? Because a continuity plan can pull from redundant data centres all the way down to the notepads used for first drafts. Yet the single largest resource it burns is your people. Many security professionals overlook the price of that labour. Leadership never does. Executives feel every hour that a side project pulls staff away from productive work, and they know the real cost of salary, benefits, and lost opportunity. That scrutiny gets sharpest when you ask for the time of senior executives themselves. So expect your proposal to land under a microscope and come prepared to defend it with clear, logical arguments rooted in the business case. Think of it like asking a busy surgeon to sit on a committee. You had better show exactly why their scarce hours are worth it. What external dependencies can quietly break your plan? A robust plan does not just look inward at your own processes. It looks outward at everyone you rely on. Your dependencies stretch from technology vendors supplying hardware, software, and cloud services to the legal and regulatory frameworks that govern your response. Each outside factor carries risk, and if you leave it unexamined, it can disrupt your operations at the worst possible moment. So a comprehensive plan makes the roles and responsibilities of external parties clear and puts contingency plans in place for when they falter. Think of it like a relay race. It does not matter how fast you run your leg if the runner handing you the baton stumbles. How do you gain assurance about your vendors? Start by recognizing that every technology vendor matters, not just the cloud providers. Their own continuity arrangements directly affect whether you can keep running during a crisis. So when you outsource something critical, say email and calendaring to a software as a service provider, check whether the contract spells out the service level agreement and the provider's commitments to restore operations after a disaster. But a contract alone is not enough due diligence. You should verify the vendor actually has the controls to deliver on those promises. You probably cannot fly out to inspect their facilities, and you do not need to, because their other customers are asking the same questions. Many vendors hire an independent auditing firm and share the results as a System and Organization Controls report, often called a SOC report. There are three tiers. The simplest covers only internal controls over financial reporting. To judge security, processing, integrity, confidentiality, privacy, or availability, you review one of the higher tier reports instead. Think of it like renting an apartment. Rather than testing every lock yourself, you trust an inspection report from a licensed professional the whole building already relies on. How do laws, regulations, and contracts shape your obligations? Heavily, and the stakes vary by sector. Some industries face laws that mandate specific continuity measures. Officers and directors of publicly traded firms carry a fiduciary duty of due diligence. Emergency services like police and fire owe their communities uninterrupted operation, and their work only grows more critical when disaster strikes. Financial institutions face strict rules meant to protect the wider economy, and organizations working with emerging technologies increasingly answer to new compliance regimes with strong human oversight requirements. Even without a specific law, your own contracts can bind you, because a service-level agreement you signed can put you in breach if a disaster stops you from delivering. There is an upside too. A strong, documented plan can win you new business, because customers trust a firm that can prove it will keep serving them through a crisis. All of this points to one move. Bring your legal counsel into the process and keep them there. Laws shift constantly and vary by jurisdiction, so involve your attorneys through testing and maintenance, not just a final review. Think of it like sailing international waters. The rules change as you cross each border, so you keep a navigator who knows them aboard the whole voyage. So let's bring it together. A continuity effort consumes resources across development, testing, and maintenance, and implementation. And in every phase, the dominant cost is your people, which is exactly what leadership scrutinizes. Your plan must look outward at external dependencies, especially technology vendors, whose own resilience you verify through independent reports rather than trust alone. And a shifting landscape of laws, regulations, and contracts shapes your obligations, so your legal counsel stays involved from start to finish. Handle the outside world well, and your plan holds up when the real test arrives. The MCQs covering all the topics and concepts from this session are available on rucloud.com. Practice the chapter-specific MCQs before moving on to the next session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or feedback, post a comment below or email us. I will see you in the next session.